How the weather has changed in Karluk over the last 40 to 50 years. We are talking to my grandpa Ronnie.
How long have you lived here?
I've lived here over 40-some years.
Okay.
Has the bears been more noticeable?
Oh yes, it had changed drastically from what it was. The winters used to start a lot earlier than what you see now, and it was a lot nicer, but you had a lot more snow and cold than what you see now. I mean, when you talk snow, it wasn't just 1 or 2 feet. You were talking 8, 10 feet of snow. And from what it is now, you see some on the hillsides up there, or up in the mountain. That's nothing. It used to be a deal of shoveling out everything all the time. You were constantly moving because there was so much snow. And what it had its advantages to have snow was your houses were a lot warmer than they are today.
Sure.
Okay.
Has there been more sea life or less sea life?
That is a good question. It's really hard to answer because when you say sea life, you could mean birds, you could mean
Marine
fish.
animals in general.
Yeah, well, the abundance of fish is yes, it increased to an extent, but the other sad part about it, it decreased in a lot of areas. Like the birds used to be abundant by the thousand. You could look out there. It wasn't uncommon, everybody laughed at this, but back when I was a kid, at my hometown, when the ducks came, they came by the thousands, and I mean, sometimes planes couldn't land because there was so much birds in the air. And over here, they used to say out the ocean, it looked like corks floating all over the place, but you don't see that no more. So, but yet you look at the other side, like the other sad part is you like salmon. This is about average, I would call, but what we're losing is what they used to have a lot of was halibut and crab, which we don't have no more. And sea urchins, I always forget those.
So they used to have a lot more sea urchins.
Oh yes, they used to. I mean, they used to go pick them by the bucketful, they used to say.
Wow.
And you don't, even there's no sea otters, I don't know what destroyed them. It could have been the change of the tides or the water or whatever. People say there's a lot outside, but they're not coming into water puddles like they used to.
Has the winter been different than it is now?
Well, difference could mean two things. It's harder sometimes. Here what makes it so harder, as you could see now, we got a lot of wind. A lot more wind, more so than what we used to have. Winter used to be a lot of snow, come straight down, irritating, can't see, stuff like that. And once in a while you get wind would blow it into bigger piles somewhere where you could have fun with it. But now, as you see, it's not uncommon to see the wind over 100 miles an hour here in Karluk versus what it used to be. It was, when I first came here, you could go out the ocean pretty much all winter long. But now, rarity, starting from here on out, you're lucky if you get to go out once a year. And you could see the change from where it was. And the snow in the winter, everybody says it's cold. No, when it was cold, it was cold. I mean, this whole lagoon, right down to the mouth, used to ice up. And people walked and fished out on it and whatever. But you don't see that no more in the abundance of ptarmigan. And was unreal. There used to be thousands and thousands of ptarmigan. And you don't see that no more. So, yes, the weather has changed drastically.
Have the winds been more violent or calmer since the past 20
Oh.
years?
That's what I was pretty much saying is the winds have increased, to my belief, as more often. It's scary not only for us, it's scary for everybody because it used to be you get 2-3 times a week you could have nice weather, sometimes a week at a time or so. Now it's I would say my theory is it blows more now than it ever did, and longer and harder where you really can't do anything.
And that's what, do you feel like that's island wide?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's pretty much throughout. I would say even through Alaska. As I've talked to a couple people that even up in the interior in the mainland try to trap like they used to. They can't because the weather's so violent. You can't go just turn your skiff or put a tent in your skiff and camp out for a couple weeks because it's too nasty.
Has game been more scarce than before?
Not so much as you guys would probably laugh where I talked about the ptarmigan. It used to be, it was a changeover. It's like, I don't know how to put it. There used to be a lot of ptarmigan. Now there isn't. But in replace of that, we got a lot of deer and we got a lot of ducks. And the seal has increased versus what it used to be. And as you notice, which is good for us, is the bears diminished. And I think there's nobody has the answer, but everybody knew it was coming. The elders knew anyway. They said it was eventually in time. It's like they disappear.
So
And-
they said that would happen?
Yes, and
Oh.
where it's like, I don't know how to put it, it's like something is almost gone and then all of a sudden it comes back. Like the birds I talk about is the eiders. The old white-breasted, big-nosed, orange eiders, the most tastiest ducks in the world, they pretty much were gone. And then I've noticed the last time I was in Chigney, they changed colors.
Really?
Yes, they went from the white to a brown, but they still have some of the yellow if you look hard. It was strange. It was like how does he change this stuff, or how does it happen? Evolution or whatever they want to call it. But and I think the scary part is what is catching the tropical fish up here in Alaska now. And you say no way. Yes, it's happening a lot. It's the climate water changing that much to where you got tropical fish starting to move in. And it was weird when I first seen a turtle in Alaska in the water.
You did?
Yes, that was down southeast. I don't know if that was common, but it was like, okay, maybe I've been driving too long, but we went around circles of it, and it was a turtle. Okay.
Have the salmon runs been different since the past?
Yes, when I first came here, back in the 70s, there was a lot of salmon. I mean, salmon. From down the mouth, all the way up the river, you would see waves and fish breaking water all night in a calm night. I mean, you could hear like, it's bad weather out there, yet it's flat calm. and there's so much salmon, they would die on the beach. I mean, the tide go out and you could actually go down right on the frontier. You didn't need to. What you see now is, I think the most change I've seen is where the sport fishermen used to never go up that river. Everybody fished off of the point or up in everybody where they call the king hole, or the one down the tank where the tank used to be. That's the only two places they fish pushed them out. They never went inside. So, and the humpies, everybody laughed at the humpies. Well, you don't see the humpies like you used to. Humpies used to cover this whole lagoon. I mean, uh, when they died, the muck from their decomposed is probably about almost 2 feet thick. And that was the fertilization for the future salmon. But you don't see that no more. And, but you want to say salmon? Yes, it depleted. I would say over 3/4 because you can't even. They won't even allow you to catch kings anymore, and there used to be thousands of kings. Not no more.
Have the berries grown or dwindled than before?
Well, I think they dwindled, but due to the fact that I don't think anybody harvests as much as they used to. It used to be a surplus that you need if you want a jam, or if you wanted syrup or a dessert. You would have to go get the berries and put them away. Now there's canned fruit and there's fresh vegetables pretty much are dehydrated. See, they didn't dehydrate the food. They kept them hydrated, but in some kind of solution. I never did learn how they kept their berries and stored them in the winter. And but the abundance of berries, I would say it's strange to see salmon berries growing without leaves on the trees. That I think that's strange to me. And like now, there was a couple leaves brought into the house that had buds already, and I was like, it can't be. But I seen them, and that's how much it's changed. And the berries, I would say the blackberries anyway, cranberries, are pretty much being depleted. I don't know why, but there's a change somewhere where they're not as abundant as before.
Has the river froze more than now?
A lot more. Like I said in the beginning, is you used to be able to walk across fish, ice fish for flounders and dollies and stuff. You could hike over sturgeon, not worry about going through the ice or anything. But now it's freezes over, but you really can't get on it. It's very dangerous. I would say the winters changed so drastically. It's a lot warmer than what it used to. But the elders talked about it again and said it was going to happen. It's a cycle in life that's confusing. What the way they explain it, they expect that, and they call it global warming. But the elders called it something else. I wish I could remember what they were call it. They said a cycle, a life where some die and new ones are born. It was strange, like they knew it was coming all the time.
Oh, thank you for your time, Grandpa.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming up.
we really appreciate that. That's been incredible. What you said was a lot like what Mary and Joyce said. It was so interesting to hear what you say compares all the same things what they said, and it's like really interesting, really useful. So thank you.
Well, that's what a lot of people don't pay attention, and that why, I think to put it and make a long story short, is where we lose today is what we lost yesterday already, is elders. And people think, I think today there's so much computers, they forgot to hear what the elder stories were that the computers don't know nothing about versus
There you go.
what the elders knew a long time ago.
Right. And now you're on the computer, so we've got you preserved. Thanks, Ronnie.
Okay, thank you.